Guys, thanks very much. Welcome back inside Rexall number 1, the second of 3 between the Hawks and the Oilers. Let's meet the starting goaltenders. Brought to you by Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL. Ben Scriven's last start was a 31-save win against the Islanders on January the 4th. He has not lost in regulation since December the 23rd. And at the other end, it's 25-year-old Antti Raanta gets the call for just the 9th time this year, but he does come into this game riding a 5-game winning streak. Last night in Minnesota, Drew, it was Corey Crawford who was the hero with 42 saves in that 4-2 win.
John Nelson knows the importance of a good start tonight because of that game last night in Minnesota. He talked about Kevin. He knows his team needs to put the pressure on the Blackhawks right away, but that's a tough task.
And a tough assignment for the fourth line of the Edmonton Oilers as they will start against Hayes, Hossa, and Saad. And it's Hendricks, Gordon, and Klinkhammer. Keaton and Fink will be charged for trying to shut them down, but they come at you with more than just that one line.
Yeah, they certainly do. Your centerman down the lane, you go Jonathan Toews, Brad Richards, Andrew Shaw, Marcus Kruger, and then the wingers just get just as good from top to bottom.
Played on Tuesday against Detroit. This is the third of 4 at home for the Oilers. Just a quick shot, and that is handled by Raanta for the first save of the game.
On and on. You can talk about the lines that you've already talked about, Kevin. The Chicago Blackhawks play the game the right way. If you want to find out how you should play the game, you watch the Blackhawks. The best players, hardest working guys. Great defense. Their goaltenders, when called upon, have to make the right save. There's no shortcuts with the Chicago Blackhawks.
A very short shift for that Richards line, though, as they go off, and it is Dan Smith who will line up against Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Hopkins, Hall, and Eberle from the face-off. And the second of 3 between these two teams. They will not go to Chicago until March the 6th. Keaton with the puck now. He'll play it ahead. Klinkhammer trying to get it by Duncan. Keith can't do it. Taves has got it. He's got Saad going to the front of the net. Watching the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. Hossa could not get the shot away, but Taves has possession. It is Seabrook at the point. Gives it to Taves right to the middle, and it's picked off there by Rob Klinkhammer, who sends it down the ice. Duncan Keith played over 26 and a half minutes last night. He is averaging about 26 minutes a game. That is 6th in the league. We'll see how they are, Drew, after coming in and getting to their hotels at 2:30 in the morning. As we take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by Ford, official automotive partner of the Edmonton Oilers.
For the Edmonton Oilers, when we look at the keys to the game, it is 5-5-5. 5 guys up in the forecheck, 5 guys back in the neutral zone, 5 guys in the defense zone. Everybody's got to play as a team, put as much pressure on as you can. The Chicago Blackhawks, if it ain't broke, you don't need to fix anything. Best goal differential, 2 goals against, 6th in the NHL in goals scored per game.
Nugent-Hopkins, quick shot, and that is handled by Raanta. His first save of the game.
And then you go on and on. You can talk about the lines that you've already talked about, Kevin. The Chicago Blackhawks play the game the right way. If you want to find out how you should play the game, you watch the Blackhawks. The best players, hardest working guys. Great defense. Their goaltenders, when called upon, have to make the right save. There's no shortcuts with the Chicago Blackhawks.
A very short shift for that Richards line, though, as they go off. Dan Smith who will line up against Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Hopkins, Hall, and Eberle from the face-off. It is
goaltenders, when called upon, have to make the right save. There's no shortcuts with the Chicago Blackhawks.
A very short shift for that Richards line, though, as they go off. And Dan Smith who will line up against Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Now he's trapped.
Here
come the Oilers.
Oh, he scores! Yes, YouTube video at searchfilm.com. Search mode consent.
Another turnover. Tyler Pittman takes advantage.
1-0 Oilers.
This is almost a bad read by Larson. He gets caught flat-footed, allows his man to go through, but what a play by Russell breaking it up. Quick transition game, and sometimes simpler is better. This is a simple play where you're looking for pass all the way, and instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, A disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside and it found room underneath
against Ryan
the elbow.
Nugent-Hopkins.
Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a regular, he's been to the outside and he found room underneath the elbow. Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a regular, he's been
Great
hurt.
defense. The goaltenders, when called upon, have to make the right save. There's no shortcuts with the Chicago Blackhawks.
A very short shift for that Richards line, though, as they go off. And it is Ben Smith who will line up against Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Strike first.
Hopkins, Hall, and Eberle from the faceoff. It is Ben Smith who will line up against Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Hopkins, Hall, and Eberle from the faceoff. Oilers get control. Nugent-Hopkins another shot. This one goes over top of the net. Schultz and Klefbom on the point. It is Schultz who keeps it in. Nugent-Hopkins turns, speeds it to Eberle. First shot. That was blocked. Almerson blocked the first shot. Klefbom keeps it in at the point. It comes around to Johnny Oduya. Oduya plays it off the boards, looking for Kruger. Too far for him. But no icing on the play. Kept in by Nordstrom. He'll get it to Kruger. Kruger out in front for Nordstrom. The pass never got through. Nugent-Hopkins checked by Carolina. Taylor Carolina did not correct in that game against Minnesota. And Garcillo did. Garcillo a healthy start tonight. Hall with the puck now. He'll flip it to an open wing, and there is Keith and Seabrook again on the ice. Ryan Bickle, a couple of goals for him last night in Minnesota. Out there with Kane, and now Richards. Bickle with the puck goes down low for Kane. Kane behind the cage, comes to the corner. Kane pushes it back up top. Keith will give it right back to Patrick Kane. Leads his team in all categories. Keith stretched down the middle. Great save by Scrivens. His first by Talbot. Goals on the season. At least 20 goals in his first 8 years in the National Hockey League. Yakubov, Roy, and Pouliot. Yakubov, nice move around Kane across the blue line. Comes with a table. He'll take a shot that goes off Seabrook to Renta. And he tries to corral it, does, and squeezes it for the whistle.
A couple of chances for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and then a chance comes back by the Chicago Blackhawks and Ben Scrivens' first test. Good work by the Blackhawks. They always do such a great job activating their defense. Big shot on net, deflected. Ben Scrivens gets the left pad out. But the key there, Duncan Keith, he starts moving before the puck gets past him, so he's already got that jump on the forward trying to get in the passing lane, or the shooting lane, I should say.
6 goals on the season for Keith. Here's a Keaton with a shot and a pass save by kept in by Payne on the other side. Oduya is checked by Fraser, who's out there with Teddy Purcell and Anton Lander. And get it by Lander. Garnelson will give it to Oduya. Johnny Oduya is around the board. Scrivens stocks it behind the net, takes a big hop. Shaw is there, but so is Mark Payne. The Keaton goes right up the middle to Lander. Outlet pass intended for Teddy Purcell, gets by him. Rundblad goes back to pick it up. He gave it away to Teddy Purcell, but Roosevelt comes in to help out. Roosevelt and Rundblad, the 5'6" on the Chicago team, did not play a lot in the first period. A lot in the third, though. They were trying to protect that lead. David Rundblad, a former first-round pick of the St. Louis Blues. I guess you're not a former first-round pick. You are a first-round pick. Petrie, as the Hawks make changes, a pass intended for Klinkhammer gets by, and it'll come back on the icing call.
You know your business. We know how to protect it. Inside Insurance, specializing in the oil and gas and construction industries. InsideInsurance.ca.
One of the reasons the Chicago Blackhawks are so darn good, they've got a great coach. Joel Quenneville, one of the best in the National Hockey League. Creeping up on 500 games as a head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. That'll be the second time he's been able to do that in his career. Absolutely outstanding, gets the job done. He's got a fantastic staff supporting him.
Hossa, his shot goes off Petrie into the corner. Quenneville with 708 career victories. He is third. Assad, checked by Gordon. They both go down. The puck is free. Foul squirts for Hendricks, who just one-hands it down the ice. Arian Hossa off the skate of Rob Pointhammer. Nugent Hopkins shoots it in. Martha will stop it there for Keith. He'll give it to Seabrook. Seabrook checked by Hopkins, shoots it in. Martha will stop it there for Keith. He'll give it to Seabrook. Seabrook. Nordstrom with Kruger and Teravainen. Teravainen off the boards for Kruger. He bats that out of the air and sends it into Oilers territory. Scrivens can't control it. Nordstrom trying to center. Did not get all of it. Flipped over the head of Darvison. He'll go back and pick it up. 2-1 the shots in favor of the Oilers with just over 5 minutes gone in this first period. Nicholas Jarmelson plays it around the boards. Johnny Oduya will pick it up. Push it back. Pouliot can't get it by Derek Roy. Nikitin back into his own zone. Payne will give it right back to the big Russian. Nikitin works his way across the blue line. Nikitin wide. Flips the shot. Go up high on Radza. Caught him with the mask. And
inside the boot.
Stays out there. And the Yakupov. It's the Roy line on the ice now. Pouliot and the Yakupov. Richards. To King brings it towards the net. Scrivens steers that aside. It sits on the back of the net. It's still alive. They pull it off. And he gets it to Yakupov. He cannot get it by Brad Richards. Kane has to retreat as Bickle was caught in the zone. Roosevelt to Rundblatt. David Rundblatt. Pass intended for either Richards or Kane. Neither guy got it. And we'll come back.
Couldn't keep up with it. When you look at his line, a little bit stronger, so he's just smart.
Westlaw shot goes wide at the side of the net. Is Anton Lander trying to poke it home? Fraser keeps it in. Fraser again, that shot goes wide. Islanders line doing a good job of keeping this offensive line for the Hawks pinned in their own zone. This is Teddy Purcell. Purcell will give it to Lander. Lander around the near side. It's picked up there by Rundblatt. Rundblatt pass for Kane. Kane with 3 points. Gave it to Richards. Richards moving in. Richards does the save. The puck sits there. It's loose. Still loose. Trying to get it in Bickle. It comes back to the point. Seabrook was coming right in. It got by him.
And there's a little display of Brad Richards' smarts. He comes from behind the play, hits the hole at the right time with perfect timing. You don't need to be that fast if you've got good timing.
And 3 assists in that game against Minnesota last night. Patrick Sharp opened the scoring for the Hawks against Minnesota. He's on the ice now with Smith and Shaw. He keeps it in. Smith to their corner. This is Petrie. Around the boards it comes. Picked up there by Klinkhammer. Center for Hendricks. Off his skate and out into Chicago territory.
I think Rob Klinkhammer starting to really figure out playing with Matt Hendricks and Boyd Gordon. They look good together.
He is easily becoming a part of the wagon wheel line. As that puck goes off of Sharp and up into the net. No score here at Rexall. Shots 3 apiece. We'll be back.
Welcome back. Chicago and Edmonton, not the only game taking place at Rexall Place today. This afternoon, the crowd a little bit thin for the Oiler alumni as they got together. I think you recognize this guy. You don't recognize this, though. Great glove save as Ryan Smith is prevented from scoring, but our own Sportsnet analyst, there's Louis DeBrusque, off a couple of gloves and in. Last NHL goal, March 29, 2000 against Atlanta. Not sure if this is his most recent alumni goal or not.
I'm certainly glad I took him in the pool.
Did you have him?
I had him. The big man coming through for me. You'll want a copy of that, Gene. He's going to show it again and again to his son to see. That's how you do it, son. That's how you make it to the bigs.
Look where he was. Got to go to the scoring areas, right? Got to go to the net.
Absolutely. 336 pounds of Louis DeBrusque going to the net. You don't want to stop him. Jonathan Toews, hit shot, stop, rebound, score. Right, man. To see. That's how you do it, son. That's how you make it to the bigs.
Look where he was. Got to go to the scoring area.
And to his son to see. That's how you do it, son. That's how you make it to the bigs.
Look where he was. Got to go to the scoring areas, right? Got to go to the net.
Absolutely. 336 pounds of blue.
Off the puck. the other day about host the Sparks.
Brandon Saad.
Trade conference was the hardest one. Jonathan Toews. Captain Series, everybody knows his reputation as a leader, but the key for Jonathan Toews is that his work ethic goes before the goal. He works to get the goal, not the opposite. Some players out there, they get the goal, then they start getting hungry for more. Jonathan Toews is that his work ethic goes before the goal. He works to get the goal, not the opposite. Some players out there, they get the goal, then they start getting hungry for more.
One of 5 Chicago Blackhawks voted to the All-Star game. The only other guy not wearing a hockey uniform is Zengus Girgensons. Toews behind the net. Has it again. Saad looking for it as well, along with Hossa. Hossa's got 20 helpers on the year. Saad with 11 goals. He had 19 last year. Jarmelson waits for the line change as the Bickle-Kane-Richards line on the ice now. This is Brad Richards. Richards goes deep. Seabrook is going to pinch in. Pushes into the corner. Bickle waiting for it. Brian Bickle between the legs. Richards trying to feed it out in front for Kane, but a good job by Klefbom to prevent that. Kane back at the blue line. Kane goes down low to Bickle. Bickle on the half wall. Plays it back to Seabrook. Hopped over his stick. Now he's in a race with Yakupov. Seabrook glides back, gets into his deep partner, Duncan Keith. Keith given a bump there by Pouliot and a steal by Derek Roy. They jam away at it, and they score. Seabrook. Kane goes down low to Bickle. Bickle on the half wall. Plays it back to Seabrook. Hopped over his stick. Now he's in a race with Yakupov. Seabrook glides back, gets into his deep partner, Duncan Keith. Keith given a bump there by Pouliot and a steal by Derek Roy. They jam away at it, and they score. Yakupov on the half wall. Plays it back to Seabrook. So 50, and it's tied up at 1. And you mentioned how Benoit Pouliot was so down on himself for taking a penalty behind the Detroit net in that game on Tuesday. And the coach said there was no need to say anything. He was beating himself up enough. He knew what he did. Eberle on the steal, moving in with Hall. Eberle drop pass for Hall. Checked by Kruger. Oduya sends it around the boards, waiting for it there. Nordstrom takes it from Kruger, stripped by Nugent Hopkins, stepped up on by Oduya. Hall gets hit with a pass, and back the other way. Teravainen. Table Teravainen trying to get around Mark Payne, can't do it. Eberle swoops in and gets the puck. He'll play it around the boards. Keaton's got it. He'll flip it to center. Hall. Corrals a bouncing puck as the Oilers make a change. Klinkhammer kicks it into the Chicago zone. Jarmelson. That pass intercepted at the end of his shift by Mark Payne. He'll shoot it right back in. Marian Hossa picks it up. Hossa drops it for Toews. Gets it back again. Checked right there by Petrie. Keith races over to get it. Petrie intercepts the pass intended for Toews. Gives it to Gordon. He'll bounce it in. Brandon Saad can't get it by Gordon. Henricks trying to split the defense. Keith to Klefbom. Klefbom takes his time. The Blackhawks make a change. They get the Richards line up there now. Derek Roy's line on the ice as Klefbom backhands it in. Roy giving chase against Keith, but it's offside. Rogers Oilers hockey from Rexall Place. A 1-1 tie between the Hawks and the Oilers.
We need to know who wants some.
On behalf of the Safeway Score and Win contest and Quaker Crispy Minis or Rice Cakes, Peggy Hansen of Edmonton has won the Troy-built single-stage snow thrower on the goal by Benoit Pouliot.
Good time for that. That's a great prize.
And just one rep on the ice right now. Francois Saint-Laurent is in the Oilers' room. We'll try and get an update on his condition. Richards looking for Kane, broken up there by Andrew Ference. Ference, though, goes right to number 88. Comes out in front, Derek Roy. Controls the box, skates behind his own net. Bickle runs into Ference, knocks him down. Richards at center. Drops it back for Jarmelson. He'll give it to Oduya. Pass intended for Bickle. Got by him. It's picked up by the captain. He'll give it to Matt Fraser. Fraser right back to Ferris. Petrie. Roy. They'll backhand it in. Just over 8 minutes left to go in the first period. 5-4. The shots favor Chicago in a 1-1 game. Roosevelt couldn't get it by Lander. Teddy Purcell chops it in. Fraser giving chase against Lundblad. And penalty coming up as Lundblad's 5-4. The shots favor Chicago in a 1-1 game. Roosevelt couldn't get it by Lander. Teddy Purcell chops it in. Fraser giving chase against 5-4. The shots favor Chicago. Remember the 22nd game. Pouliot providing the screen is because partner who back to Schultz at the point. Shot through traffic off the stick of Kruger and wide. Eberle plays it back to Schultz at the point. He'll give it to Hall. Back to Schultz. Schultz throws it towards the net. And Renta makes the save. This is the number 1. Throws it towards the net. He'll give it to Hall. Back to Schultz. Schultz throws it towards the net. And Renta makes the save. This is the number 1 penalty-killing team in the National Hockey League. Almost 90%.
It's not a save percentage of high time. Corey Crawford's is just as good. And when you look at your goaltenders having terrific save percentages, you know that your goaltenders are a big part of your penalty count, why it's successful. Also, they block shots. They've got highly skilled players out there. And they've won 2 Stanley Cups in the last 3 years. They know how to win. They know what to do when they're man down.
From the face-off, it's
How to win. They know what to do when they're man down.
From the face-off, it's controlled by the Hawks, and this is Hossa. Hossa stopped by Hall, but he gets the puck indeed. It is Hossa and Taves on this penalty kill, so the owners will have to be careful. Oduya and Seabrook are on the blue line on minute 18 left of power play time. As Schultz to Eberle off his stick. Oduya can't get it by Schultz. Schultz and Hall at the point. Hall gives it right back to Schultz for Eberle. Eberle hangs on to it. Eberle back to the point. Here is Schultz cross ice. They're playing with a hard shot. Blocked by Johnny Oduya. And he'll send it the length of the ice. Purcell and Roy and Yakupov, along with Fane and Schultz now on the second half of this power play. Anton Lander goes cross ice. Derek Roy scores! Along with Fane and Schultz. The second half of this power play. Anton Lander goes cross ice. Yakupov, along with Fane and Schultz now on the second half of this power play. Anton Lander goes cross ice. Got the goal. Games, that puck goes out of play. The Oilers with a 2-1 lead here at Rexall. Rogers, Our next score and win winner, courtesy of Safeway and Quaker Crispy Minis or Rice Cakes, is Brad Ananka of Sherwood Park, who has won the Hoover Air Cordless Vacuum on the goal by Derek Roy. Francois Saint Laurent back on the ice, so we are back to a 2-referee system.
Obviously favoring the left leg. And stretching out a little bit.
Sharp wins the draw. Duya's shot doesn't make it through. Taylor Hall picks it up. Gets to center. Goes cross ice. Pass behind Eberle. The Oilers with 7 shots. The Hawks with 5. As that puck gets tipped out of play.
Protecting what matters most to you and your team. You are covered with the power of Insight, the official construction insurance broker of the Edmonton Oilers.
On the goal, when you watch this play to finish at the very end, the one thing that you notice with that play is that Derek Roy...
With the power of Insight, the official construction...
On the goal, when you... just as I said, on the goal when you watch, very forceful and evil defenseman gets his head turned.
I'm great. Calgary Flames.
Listen, there's a good chance somebody's trying to hack your website right now. You gotta make sure
This play to finish at the very end. The one thing that you notice with that play is that Derek Roy goes to the net with a lot of great time. And the key to this
Been in the league for a dozen years, and this is a 19 for the
Legacy in this coming up to this new building to be a much when you there's is over top.
And Brouwer couldn't hold the puck in, making sure that it's over and back, and there's an offside against
when
Calgary.
you watch this play.
I think the importance here for the Edmonton Oilers is a much better defensive play. You mentioned the Calgary Flames problems, 30th in the year last year, but the Edmonton Oilers were 27th, and this is a team that needs to be a much better defensive team. And Jim, I think Cam Talbot in goal for the Oilers has got to be a guy who gets off to a great start. It was not a good October, November for him last year, and he's going to have to be much more solid in the Oiler net.
By the end of November, these teams were...
Oilers is a much better defensive play. You mentioned the Calgary Flames problems, 30th in the year last year, but the Edmonton Oilers were 27th, and this is a team that needs to be a much better defensive team. And Jim, I think Cam Talbot in goal for the Oilers has got to be a guy who gets off to a great start. It was not a good October, November for him last year.
And the key to this game
September
is that
Cutting for the net. Stop by Scrimmins. He'll cover up.
again, Patrick Sharp using his speed up the side, up the left wing. Now they've got a decision on Patrick Sharp. Patrick Sharp is 33 now? Like, they've got a decision on Patrick Sharp. They've got a decision on a lot of guys as they're starting to get a little bit older. Some of their real core guys that gives them that tremendous depth that helps them win championships. There's some decisions to make on some guys coming up here.
Patrick Sharp with 34 goals last year. Has 9 this year. Missed 14 games with injury. He is a 4-time 30-goal scorer.
You could start that play.
Not the Hossa, and that shot deflected by Terrence over top of the net. Taves behind the cage, checked by Hendricks. Hendricks being hounded there by the Chicago captain. Taves will not take no for an answer as he plays the puck back to Seabrook. Quickly across the key, throws it toward the net. Petrie prevented that from getting any further. Taves will recover, sends it around the near side. Hossa pushes it to Saad. Given a bump there by Hendricks. The fourth line is pinned in its own zone right now.
Like the way they're playing, though. Look how they've shrunk the zone. Now there's 5 guys in there. They've got numbers. They win the battle. The Oilers I'm talking about.
Petrie comes away with the puck, and he will send it down the ice, and that will allow a change on McDavid. As Seabrook starts away. Point deep. Up the middle for Nordstrom with Smith. Behind the net, Scrivens will slow it up. Play it to the corner. Yakupov will pick it up there for the Oilers. Yakupov will give it to Nikitin. Kuliak. Backhands it, and that puck goes off the glass and out. Kuliak behind the net, up the middle for Nordstrom. Nordstrom with Smith. Behind the net, Scrivens will slow it up. Play it to the corner. Yakupov will pick it up there for the Oilers. Only to his teammate Patrick Kane. Kane got 1,232,000 votes. 201 if you're counting. Kuliak couldn't get it back to Nikitin. Pickle gains the line. Boards it goes. Nikitin waiting for it under pressure from Kane. Richards stripped of the puck. Nikitin's got it again. Nikitin clean to the middle for Kuliak. Takes that calmly off his skate. Comes across the blue line. Pass to Yakupov. Yakupov feeds it in front, and that one almost went in. Throws the ball. Richards just chips it in. Fox will make a change with just over 3 minutes left to go in the period. The Oilers with a 2-1 lead on goals by Kuliak and Roy. Fraser, Lander, and Ben Purcell on the ice right now. Football throws it towards the net, deflected high into the netting.
Yakupov almost makes it 3-1 in this first period for the Oilers. As he starts to drive the net, he's got a bit of a 2-on-1. He tries to go across Rosenthal with his skate. Just knocks it wide. This is almost going in. Get down, now you're going to try to do what you're supposed to do as a defenseman. Take away the pass. It goes off the skate, the stick, and almost past Antti Renta.
Bill Yakupov will take it no matter what.
Yeah, he will. But right there, I'm going to be kind of like that grumpy coach. Shoot the puck, kid. Man, you've got a good shot. Every time you get a chance, drill it at the net. That's the way you come out of a scoring slump.
Up the middle it goes. Nordstrom puts it in. Smith gives chase. Blackhawks gets there first. Lost it to Ben Smith. Down the near side. Here is Hall. He is checked. Nugent Hopkins also stripped of the puck, but carrying on is Eberle. Dumped by Oduya. Charlton will give it to Johnny Oduya. Joakim Nordstrom to the middle for Smith. Schultz comes around the near side. Hall is waiting for it there. He'll play it to the center for Eberle. Drops it back for Nugent Hopkins. Nugent Hopkins across the line, jousting with Oduya. Charlton takes a hit from Eberle as he gets the puck to Oduya. Oduya takes a look as the Oilers make a change. Shaw. Carolina. Backhand. Shaw. On a stick on it, it goes wide. Bears with out his stick there for a second. Carolina has the puck right now. He'll play it back to Seabrook. Quickly over to Keith. Keith being watched by Teddy Purcell. Down low for Sharp. Lander had him all tied up. Andrew Shaw plays it to the middle. Keith stepping up, but right there was Teddy Purcell defensively. Carolina pass for Sharp doesn't work. Petrie tied up there by Sharp. Keith down low. Backhand for Shaw. Off the end of his stick. Teddy Purcell starts back the other way for the Oilers. Purcell. Pass for Fraser. He collided with the linesman right in front of the Hawks bench as we go downstairs and join team.
Drew and Kevin, time to play Safeway's $1 Million Score and Win. If any Oilers player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Ronald McHugh of Wetaskiwin, Alberta could win $1 million. Shop at Safeway and you could be our next lucky winner right here on Sportsnet.
Right here at Rexall, 1:10 left to go in the first period. The Oilers out-shooting, outscoring the Chicago Blackhawks right now. Keaton being pursued by Hossa. Less than a minute to go in the first. By Hossa. Less than a minute to go in the first. Henrik plays it off the boards. Klinkhammer just overskated it. Kane comes up, and he will send that puck into Hawk territory. Oduya, Jarmelson off the boards for Hossa. They'll go cross ice, and it's picked up there by Brandon Saad. Crisscrossing with Taves. Sharp angle shot. Comes right out in front. Hendricks bumps into Klinkhammer.
Almost got the he's going to get penalty for closing his hand on the puck again. He took that, and you would call this traveling in the NBA. You'd call this probably traveling in hockey, too.
Comes right out in front. Hendricks
took that, and you would call this traveling in the NBA.
Comes right outside. Crisscrossing with Taves. Sharp angle shot. Comes right out in front. Hendricks bumps into Klinkhammer.
Almost got the he's going to get penalty for closing his 2 minutes.
And it's the first opportunity with a man advantage for the Blackhawks. A power play that was 2 for 7 when these teams head back the third week of November.
3 because
1 for 3 in the game against Minnesota. And it was Patrick Kane who got the goal.
There's McHugh the side by Elliott in the last minute of the first. Oilers in there. Freeze wouldn't.
Shaw with the puck down. Shaw. Checked by Ferentz. 8 seconds left to go in the period. Shaw behind the net. With Taves and Kane as he comes back. With a rip stop through traffic. Deflected right at the horn.
The period comes to an end.
24 left to go on the Hawks power play when the second period starts. But David, a great first period for the Oilers. They have the lead after 20.
Absolutely, Kevin, and welcome into our Sportsnet studios. Rich Sutter, John Shannon. I am David Amber. Guys, we know we high signed a one. The young guys impressed.
38 minutes.
Ben Scrivens from a hockey team sponsored by Safeway, and he said all along, right from when he was that age, he wanted to be a National Hockey League goaltender, so he's happy about the fact it worked for him, and he wishes everyone luck at Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey. Absolutely, Gene, and Ben Scrivens has made 5 saves against the Chicago Blackhawks through 20 minutes of hockey. His team has provided the offense. They will start this period, though, shorthanded, as Matt Hendricks has a minute 24 left to go on a penalty for closing his hand on the puck. And the Blackhawks' first power play continues into the second period of the season. Sharp and Seabrook are on the point. Shaw, Taves, and Kane up front. And it's Pouliot and Gordon that start the penalty kill along with the captain, Andrew Ferentz and Mark Bain. Kane with the puck now. Kane dances his way across the line. He tried to play the puck to the wing, and it was broken up, but Taves has got it. Taves turned it over, and back the other way comes Benoit Pouliot. Pouliot cuts to the middle, checked by Taves, and Kane has it. Kane got his 6th power play goal of the year in that game against Minnesota last night. Keith steps up, plays it back to the point, nobody home. 43 seconds left to go in the power play. Purcell up front with Nugent Hopkins. Patrick Sharp gains the line, fires it in. Petrie will get to it first, and Petrie. Let's take a look at the scoring summary brought to you by Warney Parsons Court. Visit WarneyParsonsCourt.com to find your place on our team.
Brandon Saad opened the scoring with a nice little rebound. Put back after a shot by Jonathan Taves. A nice work by Marian Hossa. Benoit Pouliot makes up for the gap in the Detroit game. A great assist from Derek Roy. That was on the forecheck. And then Derek Roy does an outstanding job on a beautiful power play goal, attacking the net. Tip it, boom, in. So in the forecheck, and then Derek Roy does an outstanding job on a beautiful power play goal, attacking the net. Tip it, boom, in. So in the team that's
Richards failed to get that pass across and banged his stick in frustration. Let's take a look at the scoring summary brought to you by Warney Parsons Court. Visit WarneyParsonsCourt.com to find your place on our team.
Brandon Saad opened the scoring with a nice little rebound. Put back after a shot by Jonathan Taves. A nice work by Marian Hossa. Benoit Pouliot makes up for the gap in the Detroit game. A great assist from Derek Roy. That was on the forecheck. And then Derek Roy does an outstanding job on a beautiful power play goal, attacking the net. Tip it, boom, in. So in the team camp.
And another icing call against the Blackhawks. Chicago to 0. And pretty good for special teams. You get a power play goal, and then on that one. And pretty good for special teams. You get a power play goal, and on that one. And pretty good for special teams. You get a power play goal, and then you hold. Let's take a look how low Everly against Oduya. Oduya takes it away. And that's Richards. Failed to get that pass across and banged his stick in frustration. Let's take a look at the scoring summary brought to you by Warney Parsons Court.
Couldn't get it done.
And a couple of
Saves for Cam Talbot. I think it's really important here for Calgary to not pass up shots. We mentioned the nervousness that Talbot in the first period had it as well. Monahan and Gaudreau looking for a little bit of opening down low. The rebound was there for a split second. And unlike the first goal of the game, watch Talbot here. He's able to close the pads at the last second. It was there.
Brown and Monahan could an outstanding job on a beautiful rebound.
Let's take a look at the scoring summary brought to you by Warney Parsons Court. Visit WarneyParsonsCourt.com to find your place on our team.
Brandon Saad opened the scoring with a nice little rebound. Put back after a shot by Jonathan Taves. A nice work by Marian Hossa. Benoit Pouliot makes up for the gap in the Detroit game. A great assist from Derek Roy. That was on the ground
On our team. And 8. Visit WarneyParsonsCourt.com to find your place on our team.
Brandon Saad opened the scoring with a nice little rebound. Put back after a shot by Jonathan Toews. A nice work by Marian Hossa. Benoit Pouliot makes up for the gap in the Detroit game. A great assist from Derek Roy. That was on the forecheck. And then Derek Roy does an outstanding job on a beautiful power play goal. Attacking the net. Tip it. Boom. In. I'd say in Team Canada World Juniors, tic-tac-toe on that one.
And pretty good for special teams. You get a power play goal, and then you hold Chicago to 0 shots on their power play. And another icing call against the Blackhawks.
You mentioned the numbers of Joel Quenneville, and when you look at Joel Quenneville and his coaching, what you see is he's very fiery, but he's calm right now. But when you watch him behind the bench, especially when the game's starting to become really important, he's a very fiery guy behind the bench. I think he's been able to, especially with he's very fiery, but he's calm right now. But when you watch him behind the bench, especially when the game's starting to become really important, he's a very fiery guy behind the bench. I think he's been able to dial that back a bit. Winning a couple Stanley Cups will do that to you, I guess. But he's still, when he's behind the bench, he is involved in the game. He is one intense dude.
He's even intense in the pre-game avail at 5:30. Answers are short. Clip. Let's go. Wasn't happy with the way his team played in the second and third periods against Minnesota. They got outshot 19-5 in the second, 18-5 in the third.
When you set the bar at a certain height, you've got to be able to reach it more nights than not. Your coach isn't going to be very happy with you. He's not a great coach because he lets guys off the hook.
Saad, goal scorer for Chicago. Nice pass to Keith. Keith across the blue line, drops it back for Marian Hossa. Schultz without a stick. Punt block. Here's Derek Roy. Ahead for Hall, diving forward with Taylor Hall. Great effort, but we'll come back down into Oilers territory.
Introducing the new BF Goodrich KO2 tire. BF Goodrich. Take control.
Last time the Oilers played the Blackhawks, there was nothing there from the Edmonton Oilers. It was one of the worst games of the year. There wasn't much of an effort, wasn't much of a try, wasn't much of a want. You see some want there in Taylor Hall's game. He knew that play would be icing. Gives it that second effort, trying to do something. A little effort, wasn't much of a try, wasn't much of a want. You see some want there in Taylor Hall's game. He knew that play would be icing. Gives it that second effort, trying to do something a little bit more, get out of your comfort zone to help your team.
Derek Roy wins that draw. Hall chips it down the ice. Everly and Nugent Hopkins hop over the boards. Richards. Oduya. Shot blocked by Petrie, comes to Scriven, sweeps it around, Richards intercepts it. By Pickle. Pickle, goal by Nugent Hopkins. Nugent Hopkins takes the puck away, and he'll start back quickly for the Oilers. Across the blue line, moving in, right out of the front. Petrie Talbot somehow goes over top of the net.
2 tries, Jeff Petrie couldn't find the cage.
Jeff Petrie without a goal in his last 11 coming in. Terrence cruises back and picks it up as the Hawks make changes. Pass for Everett to the middle, just out of the reach of Ben Hendricks. Teravainen can't get by Gordon. Opportunity now for Sharp. Teravainen crisscrossing at the blue line with the veteran Sharp. Teddy Purcell checked at center. Carrying on is Matt Hendricks. He gets checked. Teddy Purcell comes up with it from the corner. Purcell all the way to the blue line. He'll give it to Hendricks off his skate. And it comes to Duncan Keith. He'll give it to Brent Seabrook. Seabrook to the middle for Sharp. He was tied up there. That pass didn't work. And again, an icing call to the middle for Sharp. He was tied up there. That pass didn't work. And again, the goal to work by ball and get Hopkins down low in his own zone, behind his own net, behind the goal line. He gets the work done. He starts to break out. Now he's going to attack the middle. Why? Because the middle's wide open. Draw a man to you. Kick it to the outside. Stop at the net. And then Jeff Petrie joins in. Those 4 guys into the attack. That should be a 3-1 lead right there. But there's 4 guys in on that attack, all because Ryan Nugent Hopkins did the job in his own zone. Attack the middle. Why? Because the middle's wide open. Draw a man to you. Kick it to the outside. Stop at the net. He's going
looking to attack the middle. Why? Because the middle's wide open. Draw a man to you. Kick it to the outside. Stop at the net. And then Jeff Petrie joins in. Those four guys into the attack. That should be a 3-1 lead right there. There's four guys in on that attack, all because Ryan Hopkins did the job in his own zone. But there's four guys in on that attack, all because Ryan
Pavel Datsyuk, and nobody takes the puck away more than Pavel Datsyuk. They saw that in that game against the Red Wings, and again an icing call against Chicago.
Shift here for Brouwer. Think about this last chance by constructive job.
Edmonton Oilers power play are brought to you by BioSteel. Drink the pain.
Well, right now the Flames on the road just trying to make sure this period doesn't get away from them. They're in pretty good defensive position, but it's McDavid who needs to get off the wall. It's just a quick reaction there, got inside position, and period doesn't get away from them. They're in pretty good defensive position, but it's McDavid who beats Giordano off the wall. It's just a quick.
There's four guys.
His favorite player. They saw that in that game against the Red Wings, and it's Drew. There's nothing fancy about that. That is hard work. And the Chicago Blackhawks not working hard at getting out of their zone. Another icing call.
If you look at what's happened in Toronto recently, they interviewed a guy, Roman Polak, who's just a terrific hockey player, comes from the St. Louis Blues organization. They asked him, what's the difference right now? Why aren't you guys? He goes, because it's hard work. It's hard work playing on both sides of the puck. It's hard work to win in the National Hockey League. In Toronto recently, they interviewed a guy, Roman Polak, who's just a terrific hockey player, comes from the St. Louis Blues organization. They asked him, what's the difference right now? Why aren't you guys? He goes, because it's hard work. It's hard work playing on both sides of the puck. It's hard work.
That is hard work. And the Chicago Blackhawks not working. That is hard work. And the Chicago Blackhawks not working hard at getting out of their zone.
And back the other way.
Darnell Nurse, first goal of the season. Edmonton with a 2-0 lead.
Another turnover. Tyler Pitlick takes advantage.
This is almost a bad read by Larson. He gets caught flat-footed and allows his man to go through. But what a play by Russell breaking it up. Quick transition game, and sometimes simpler is better. This is a simple play where you're looking for the pass all the way, and instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and it found room underneath the elbow.
Taves gives it to Hossa. Offside is the call.
Jonathan Taves thinks he got the line there. Marian Hossa is a hard-working, but he also is a very big body. And Mark Spector talked about how Rob Klinkhammer wants to go for the hit. Well, right there, Marian Hossa saw it coming. But again, Rob Klinkhammer, no lack of want in his game either. He is going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to go try and finish checks on good players like Mark Spector was talking about. Well, right there, Marian Hossa saw it coming. But again, Rob Klinkhammer, no lack of want in his game either. He is going to make, again, Rob Klinkhammer, no lack of want in his game either. He is going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to go try to finish checks on good players like Mark Spector was talking about. No lack of want in his game either. He is going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to go try to finish checks on good players like Mark Spector was talking about. Marian Hossa is a hard-working, but he also is a very big body. And Mark Spector talked about how Rob Klinkhammer wants to go for the hit. Well, right there, Marian Hossa saw it coming. But again, Rob Klinkhammer, no lack of want in his game either. He is going to make that hit.
Dallas 0% September 1st, 2015 Chicago Blackhawks.
He understands what his job is. Wants to go for the hit. Well, right there, Mark Spector talked about, but again, Rob Klinkhammer, No lack of want in his game either. He is going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to want in his game either. He is going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to go try to finish checks on good players like Mark Spector.
47 minutes 30.
Right there, Marion Hossa. He is going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to go try to finish checks on. He's going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to go for the hit right there, Marion. He's going to make that hit. He understands what his job is. He's going to go try to finish checks on good players like Mark Spector was talking about. Mark Spector talked about how Rob Klinkhammer wants to go for the hit. Well, right there, Marion Hossa saw it coming. But again, Rob Klinkhammer, no lack of want to finish checks. Players like Mark Spector was talking about.
0% 30 score.
Sent in by Fane. Waiting for it there is Hendricks. Klinkhammer with the puck behind the net. Klinkhammer. Hendricks reaching for it. Hendricks, cross ice. Snapping a shot is Nikitin. That one sailed over top of the cage. Klinkhammer behind the net. Rob Klinkhammer with Gordon out in front. He'll get it to Hendricks. Back to the point. It comes. Fane quickly over to Nikitin. Another wrist shot. And a blocker save by Ranta. Nikitin goes down. Hossa moves in with Saad 2-on-1. Hossa shot. Saad the rebound. His second goal ties the game at 2. Nikitin is not happy. He shouldn't be happy because Marion Hossa tripped. Point comes quickly over to Nikitin. Another wrist shot. And a blocker save by Ranta. Nikitin goes down. Hossa moves in with Saad 2-on-1. Hossa shot. Rebound. His second goal. Wrist shot. Rebounds.
The Chicago goal.
Up into the netting.
Keaton there, entanglement. Down he goes. Keep your eye at the top of the screen. See the stick over entanglement at the offensive blue line stripe. More time and a look at Marion Hossa and Nikitin and Keaton there, entanglement at the offensive blue line Chicago Blackhawks. Keep your eye at the top of the screen. See the stick go behind his leg. Down he goes. Off to the races. That's a break that Marion Hossa gets, and the referee ignored the call, and it's 2-2. So you have to find a way again to bounce back.
Still 1-0 for the Oilers.
Marion Hossa has had 40.
The races, top of the screen. See the stick go behind his leg? Down he goes. Off to the races. That's a break that Marion Hossa gets, and the referee ignored the call, and it's 2-2. So you have to find a way. The races. That's a break that Marion Hossa gets, and the referee ignored the call, and it's 2-2. So you have to find a way again to bounce back.
Marion Hossa has had 40 goals with 3 different teams in his career.
The offensive blue line one more time, and look at Marion Hossa and Nikitin. See if we can find one.
It's deflected by Pouliot up into the netting.
See if we can find one more time and look at Marion Hossa and Nikitin and Keaton there, entanglement at the offensive blue line Chicago Blackhawks. Keep your eye at the top of the screen. See the stick go behind his leg? Down he goes. Off to the races. That's a break that Marion Hossa gets, and the referee ignored the call, and it's 2-2. So you have to find a way again to bounce back.
And this is what you see. He knows that he has to get physical, so he tries to lay a big one on Englund. And you mentioned a young player trying to make his mark in the National Hockey League. Bad timing there as Russell turned around with the reverse pass, and Tkachuk didn't lay up in time. So the first penalty and an early opportunity for the Oilers to get this crowd back on their feet.
Power play is brought to you by BioSteel Sports Nutrition, the natural choice for everyday performance. Drink the pink. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins starts on the power play. McDavid is to his left. Maroon to his head.
40 goals with.
See the stick go behind his leg? See if we can
Shot gets deflected by Pouliot. His way to
and
in his career.
And it's 2-2. So you have to find a way again to bounce back.
Marion Hossa has had 40 goals with 3 different teams in his career. Kane is checked by Derek Roy. Kane's turns, plays it to Richards. He'll tip it in. Bickle giving chase. Petrie gets there first. Takes a hit from Brian Bickle. And then Roy dumps number 29. The puck comes free. Pouliot under pressure there from Richards. But here Derek Roy with Petrie catching up. Petrie, Yakupov fires the shot. Right on the save. Petrie scores. And then Roy dumps number 29. The puck comes free. Pouliot under pressure there from Richards. But here is Derek Roy. Derek Roy with Petrie catching up. Petrie, Yakupov fires the shot. Right on the save. Petrie scores. Derek Roy with Petrie catching up. Petrie, Yakupov fires the shot. Right on the save. Derek Roy. Pouliot under pressure there from Richards. But it in. This is it himself. Don't head up. Teravainen back out in front. Couldn't get the shot away. O'Dulia prevented that. Came with Teravainen. They'll backhand it in. Schultz takes it from Shaw. The Blackhawks changing. Teravainen bumps into Klefbom. Plays it back to Keith at the point. He was under pressure there from Rob Klinkhammer. The puck comes to Hall. Hall with Klinkhammer driving the net. Hall drops it back for Nugent Hopkins. Shifts it towards the cage. Klinkhammer with the screen. Rana makes the save. Jeff Petrie gets his 4th goal. The screen. Rana makes the save. Jeff Petrie gets his 4th goal of the season. And gives the Oilers back the lead. Well, by shopping at Safeway, Quinn James, no relation, of Edmonton has won the Garmin-Verb Elite HD camera, courtesy of Safeway and Quaker Crispy Minis or Rice Cakes. On the goal by Jeff Petrie, his 2nd career goal against the Chicago Blackhawks in his 13th career game.
You remember he missed earlier in the second period from a wide open net, but continues to be aggressive and jump there.
On the goal by courtesy of Safeway and Quaker Crispy Minis or Rice Cakes. On the goal by Jeff Petrie, his 2nd career goal against the Chicago Blackhawks in his 13th career game.
You remember he missed earlier in the second period from a wide open net, but continues to be aggressive and jump up in the play.
Ferentz lets it go through traffic, hit his teammate Jordan. Jordan shot blocked by Taves. Ferentz comes in again. 2nd career crispy mini, but Jordan shot blocked by Taves. Ferentz comes in again, sends it wide. Keith broke up that shot by Hendricks. Side avoids the hit from Petrie as he brings the puck across the blue line, but then didn't bring it quickly enough with him, and it's offside.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about Jeff Petrie. What are the Edmonton Oilers going to do with Jeff? He's an unrestricted free agent at a very good age and a very good player. Right-handed shooting defenseman, which everybody covets. Either way, Jeff Petrie's making a case that the Oilers should probably try to re-sign him as soon as they can. What a terrific job he's done so far this year.
Averaging over 21 minutes a game for the Oilers.
That player, right-handed shooting defenseman, which everybody covets. Either way, Jeff Petrie's making a case that the Oilers should probably try to re-sign him as soon as they can. What a terrific case that the Oilers should probably try to re-sign him as soon as they can. Either way, Jeff Petrie's making a case that the Oilers should probably try to re-sign him as soon as they can. What a terrific job he's done so far this year.
Averaging over 21 minutes a game for the Oilers.
Try to reach. Either way, Jeff Petrie's making a case that the Oilers should probably try to re-sign him as soon as they can. What a terrific case that the Oilers should probably try to...
The scoring line for the Chicago Blackhawks is out there now. Taves, Saad, and Hossa. Hendricks. Nice pass to Rob Klinkhammer. Klinkhammer works it back to Petrie. Snaps a shot. That one goes off. Gordon. Hendricks to Klinkhammer. His shot stopped by Ranta. Fourth line continues to work hard. Gordon lost it to Hossa. Ferentz steps up on Marian Hossa. But Saad strikes back the other way. Around Petrie. Here is Saad looking for the hat trick. Hit the side of the net and a penalty on the way. A slashing call coming. The Hawks on the power play.
Ride the first side-by-side with a factory-installed turbocharger and leave others in the dust. The Can-Am Maverick XDS from Martin Motorsports.
Andrew Ferris tries to step up in the offensive blue line.
Kachuk didn't lay up in time. You mentioned a young player trying to make his mark in the National Hockey League. Bad timing there as Russell turned around with the reverse pass and Kachuk didn't lay up in time. So the first penalty and an early opportunity for the Oilers to get this crowd back on their feet.
Power play is brought to you by BioSteel Sports Nutrition, the natural choice for everyday performance. Drink the pain.
The Oilers sent the puck down the ice. They were 2 for 7 when these teams met. They are ranked 10th on the road with the man advantage. Sharp will lead the rush for the Blackhawks. To the middle for Taves. Taves gets the blue line. Gives it to Kane. Kane cruises in. Circles the net. Back up top it comes to Keith. The Sharp one-time shot on the way. Deflected by Bain away. Puck across the blue line, but then didn't bring it.
Tonight's Edmonton Oilers power plays are brought to you by BioSteel. Drink the pink.
What Jeff Petrie, what are the Edmonton Oilers going to do with Jeff? Unrestricted free agent at a very good age and a very good player. Right-handed shooting defenseman, which everybody covets. Either way, Jeff Petrie's making a case that the Oilers should probably be at a very good age and a very good player. Right-handed shooting defenseman, which everybody covets. Either way, Jeff Petrie's making a case that the Oilers should probably try to re-sign him as soon as they can. What a terrific job he's done so far this year.
Averaging over 21 minutes a game for the Oilers. The scoring line for the Chicago Blackhawks is out there now. Taves, Saad, and Hossa. Hendricks. Nice pass to Rob Klinkhammer. Klinkhammer works it back to Petrie. Snaps a shot. That one goes off. Gordon. Hendricks to Klinkhammer. His shot stopped by Ranta. Fourth line continues to work hard. Gordon lost it to Hossa. Ferris steps up on Marian Hossa. But Saad starts back the other way. Around Petrie. Here is Saad looking for the hat trick. Hit the side of the net and a penalty on the way. Around
Martin Motorsport.
Hawks number 2 for 7 on the road. Sharp will lead the one-time shot on the ice from Zebra, the captain of Chicago. Penalty for Rob Flynn to get it down the ice from Benoit Pouliot, who's up back up top. Sharp.
Jeff Petrie drives to
They are ranked 10th on the road with the man advantage.
0% vertical score.
Sharp will lead the rush for the Blackhawks. To the middle for Taves. Taves gets the blue line. Gives it to Kane. Kane cruises in. Circles the net. Back up top it comes to Keith. The Sharp one-time shot on the way. Deflected by Bain away. Good effort to get it down the ice from Benoit Pouliot, who's up front with Boyd Gordon. Sharp will give it to Shaw. Taves. Back up top for Sharp at the point. Gets it back to the captain. Kane out in front. Here's Seabrook. Seabrook trying to work it out in front. And the Oilers instead send it down the ice in frustration for the captain of Chicago as he bangs his stick on the ice. Under a minute to go in the penalty to Rob Klinkhammer. Seabrook right up the middle for Brandon Saad. Dishes to Hossa. Hossa. Button hook. Richards at the point with a wrist shot off of Hendricks. To the far corner, Seabrook pinching in. Keeps it in for Bickle. Ryan Bickle plays it back to the point. Saad, though, not there in time. Teddy Purcell in pursuit. Ranta will give it to Richards. Richards. Seabrook. Saad. Saad pounded there by Pouliot. And the play is finished off by Nikitin. And look at Lander right on the puck.
like that.
Anton Lander gets there ahead of Brad Richards. Lander goes for the net. Gets knocked down by Seabrook.
Now, Wade DeBrusk talked about Anton Lander trying to transfer his NHL game. Nice shift there.
Hossa to Bickle as the penalty is over. Klinkhammer is back on the ice. The Hawks now over 2 with the power play. 14 shots for the Oilers, 10 for Chicago. Nugent Hopkins with Hall, checked by Smith. Jarmelson, lead pass, intended for Ben Smith out of pitch reach. The Oilers come right back in. Nugent Hopkins bumped into. Smith's got the puck. He'll give it to Nordstrom. Joachim Nordstrom dumps it in. Left ball. Can't get it by Nordstrom. Scramble ensues. Nordstrom along with Kruger and Smith. This is Kruger with the puck in the corner. Back up top, Jarmelson moves to the middle, tries to feed it through. It went off Hall. The Hawks with one shot on that power play, so they're 0 for 2, and they've generated just one shot. Jarmelson steps into a blast, and that was again blocked by Taylor Hall. Everly. Short pass to Nugent-Hopkins. Goes cross ice for Klefbom, pushing it ahead for Hall, just out of his reach. Oduya got there first. Jarmelson plays it off the glass and down the ice, and it's picked up by Derek Roy. Roy, 3 points on the night. Just over 8 minutes left to go. The second period, Yakupov delivers to Roy. Yakupov couldn't get the shot away. Saad plays it off the boards right to Marian Hossa. Hossa moving in against Petrie. Hossa with the shot, and he slid that one just wide. Saad checks Petrie. Yakupov round the boards. Pouliot waiting for it on the far side. Benoit Pouliot tracked down by Hossa. Ransom will give it to Seabrook. Seabrook can't get it by Andrew Ferentz. Ferentz is checked by Taves. Gets a little help from Seabrook. Yakupov keeps it in wide, fires a shot that's deflected by Hossa into the corner. Keith finds Seabrook, gets it to Hossa. Hossa, and that stick after that block shot didn't have a chance, and it finally snaps on him. Nice here. And this will be icing against Edmonton. Shot didn't have a chance, and it finally snaps on him. Nice here. And this will be icing against Edmonton. As we go downstairs and talk to Gene.
Kevin, just to remind you, Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's hockey game is Quaker Crispy Minis or Rice Cakes.
Drew Remenda's favorite pregame meal.
How do you think I keep my girlish with me?
Absolutely. Richards tossed out of the circle. Kane will face off against Derek Roy. Roy wins that draw. Ferentz can't get it by Kane, though. Kane to Richards. Richards go to the far side. Waiting for it is Roosevelt. Now Richards on the half wall. He'll fire it around the boards. Kane checked by Fraser. Gets double teamed, but does get the puck to Yakupov. Yakupov to Fraser. Long shot. Brandon steers that aside. Fraser goes after it. Takes a look. Down the boards. Anton Lander has it now for Teddy Purcell. Purcell to Fraser. Fraser being watched by Rundblatt. Trying to get it back to the point. Bickle was there. Look at Lander intercept that pass from Brian Bickle. Teddy Purcell to Anton Lander. Lander gets hauled down. Play continues. This is Mark Fink. Nice pass to Teddy Purcell with a wrist shot. That was blocked, and it's picked up there by Roosevelt. Roosevelt to Kane. Quickly to Richards. Richards snaps his shot, and that one goes wide. Roosevelt keeps it in near side. They'll go for Kane behind the net. Kane. Got Jarmelson cutting for the cage as he circles all the way back to the blue line. Jarmelson to Richards. Richards back to Kane. Can't go down the middle and was broken up by Matt Fraser. Teravainen with Shaw. Has to deal with both of them. Teravainen right up the middle for Sharp. A bouncing puck. Sharp's got it again. Hall checks him. Schultz in there to help as well as the puck comes to Taylor Hall. He'll play it softly off the boards. Nugent-Hopkins and Everly start away. Pass for Everly out of his reach. Icing the game. Oduya stripped to the pipe there by Everly. Everly from the corner. Works it to Hall. To Nugent-Hopkins between his legs. Teravainen comes up with it. Teravainen, Shaw, and Sharp. Sharp moving in against Schultz. Back to Keith. Checked there by Hall. Seabrook circles the net. Gets it to Sharp. Sharp goes cross ice. Out in front of Shaw. Trying to bang it away. Great save by Ben Scrivens. He wouldn't allow Andrew Shaw to push it past him.
I think Oscar Klefbom had it too.
Seabrook shot goes high and wide. Sharp back to Keith. Push back from the Chicago Blackhawks. Sharp with the puck now. He'll go down low. Teravainen Works it back to Sharp. It was intercepted by Nugent Hopkins, who gets it out. The Oilers get a much-needed line change. And a hand from the folks here at Rexall as it stays a 3-2 game. Folks here at Rexall as it stays a 3-2 game. A 1-0 game. Nordstrom. Pass for Kruger out of his reach. Puck bomb is there. Gets spun around by Marcus Kruger. Well, another chance. He'll come to the near side for Schultz. Klinkhammer. Pass for Hendricks. The race ensues against Rundblatt. Hendricks hit by Roosevelt. Then Klinkhammer runs into David Rundblatt. They battle for the puck. It's still on. Hendricks in there on Nordstrom. Careful here. And Klinkhammer got away with a few prospects. Now he and Roosevelt continue to joust. As the puck is alive in the corner.
He's a gamer, Rob Klinkhammer.
He and Roosevelt could have come together now. Roosevelt got out of the way, but he couldn't take his stick with him. Backhanded in, David Rundblatt. Off the boards, he finds Ben Smith. The glass to Taves. 3 minutes, 13 seconds to go in the second period. Oilers with 15 shots. The Blackhawks, who lead the league in shots, have 13. Seabrook looking for side, broken up by Pouliot. Taves will give it to Seabrook again. Quickly over to Keith. Long cross-ice pass for Taves. Slacks that puck in. Sod waiting for it. Petrie cuts him off. Gets a little help from Derek Roy. Roy to Pouliot. Flips it. Yakupov on his horse against Keith. Keith gets there first. Around the board for Seabrook. Looking for Hossa. Hossa just inside the blue line. For Sod. Checked there by Fane. Comes to Nikitin. Nifty little pass to Pouliot. Pouliot finds Fane, and Fane to Leonard to Pouliot. Eddie Purcell, toe drag, a bouncing puck, ends up right. And the blue paints, Antti-Raanta hangs onto it. Oscar Klefbom comes back and saves a goal. And the blue paints, Antti-Raanta hangs onto it. Oscar Klefbom comes back and saves a goal. And keeps it a 1-0.
Welcome back. The Goals for Kids program is proudly sponsored by Synovus. For every Oilers goal this season, Synovus will donate $400 to Kidsport. To date, the Oilers have scored 92 goals for a total of $36,800.
3 goals tonight, Gene. Anton Lander. On the second goal, the Oilers scored a power play marker by Derek Roy. Lander against Ben Smith. Lander wins that. On the second goal, the Oilers scored a power play marker by Derek Roy. Lander against Ben Smith. Lander wins that draw. Back to Nikitin at the point. Lander scored a marker by Derek Roy. Lander against Ben Smith. Lander wins that draw. Back to Nikitin at the point. The power Ben Smith. Lander wins that draw. Back to Nikitin at the point. Nikitin. Purcell. Fraser bumps into Carlson. Smith comes back to help out. It comes back to Nikitin. Sends into a shot. Then it was blocked by Ben Smith. Cave to Richards. Lets a shot go. Rebound in front. Richards with a backhand. Another save by Scrivens. Purcell. Quick outlet pass to Fraser. Fraser will backhand it in. Go after it against Keith. Seabrook around the boards, and that's coming back on an icing call.
A couple of dynamite saves. Nice play by Brad Richards as he just snapped the puck without giving Ben Scrivens any chance to pick it up. It's just a quick release off his hands. Use the defenseman as the screen, then pick up your rebound, fire it back, going the other way, moving to your right, fire it back to the left. What a save by Ben Scrivens, the second one. Bang, right there, gets his pad down. I don't think Ben even saw that he made the second save.
12 saves on the game so far for Ben Scrivens.
By Ben Scrivens, the second one. Bang, right there, gets his pad down. I don't think Ben even saw that he made the second save.
12 saves on the game so far for Ben Scrivens. By Nugent Hopkins.
He made the second save.
12 saves on the game so far for Ben Scrivens.
Those last time.
12 saves on the game so far for Ben Scrivens.
The Edmonton Oilers on October 3rd.
Hopkins, Eberle, and Hall out there now. Nugent Hopkins, Eberle, and Hall out there now. Richards again. The shot this time goes wide. Hall walks it to Ben Smith. Kane has it go over his stick. Oduya will play it back to Jarmelson. Up the middle, pass intended for Richards is broken up by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Nugent-Hopkins, Eberle, and Hall all with 25 points. Teravainen. He's got Shaw and Sharp with him. Teravainen to Sharp. Snapped the shot, but he did not get all of it.
All 5 guys jumping up on that play.
Oduya, the point. Less than a minute to not get all. He's got Shaw and Sharp with him. Teravainen to Sharp. Snapped the shot, but he did not get all of it.
All 5 guys jumping up on that play.
Less than a minute to go. Jarmelson hammers a shot to the glove save by Ben Scrivens.
Oilers fans, you know what time it is? It's time for the World Famous.
Under a minute to go here in the second period. The Oilers with a 3-2 lead. CHL on Sportsnet this Sunday has the number 3 ranked Brandon Wheat Kings taking on Jake Virtanen and the Calgary Hitmen. Game time 1 o'clock Mountain on Sportsnet East, Ontario, West, and Pacific. And don't forget the CHL, not just a Friday night thing anymore. We've also got games on Sunday as we head to the MasterCard Memorial Cup.
Kelly McCrimmon in Brandon, absolutely amazing. Always has his team right up at the top, always working for a championship. Always has a great junior story, especially in the WHL.
55.2 seconds to go in the second period. Sharp, Teravainen, and Shaw. It's the fourth line for the Oilers, and it is Hendricks who gets it by Seabrook. Klinkhammer in a race for it. Keith has the angle. Keith looks there first. The one-headed pass to Shaw. Off the boards for Seabrook. Seabrook up for Sharp. He was checked. Teravainen is stopped. And the pass from Sharp didn't work. No icing on the play. Here is Petrie. Behind the back for Ferentz. Ferentz to Hendricks. Off the boards to the middle for Klinkhammer. Hopped over his stick. Petrie's got it again. And sits at center ice for Seabrook. Down to 10 seconds left to go in the period. Scrivens sees it get by him. Side. They get a shot away. Shaw with it now. The Oilers preventing the Blackhawks from getting a shot here in the dying second. And then the call that the Oilers and Hawks exchange goals in that second period. The shots are dead even at 15 apiece, but the Oilers have the number where it counts, David. They're up by 1 after 4.
They're up by 1. All right, absolutely. That's a great period for the Oilers. Rich Sutter, John Shannon, I am David Ambley. There's 2-on-1.
And it starts the way this game started, Drew, with the Taves line against the Gordon line. And so far, well, that is a hard line to control, but the Gordon, Hendricks, and Klinkhammer line have also been effective in this game. Zod with 2 goals, gives it to Hoske. His shot goes high and wide. Battle ensues on the far boards. Petrie will give it to Ferentz. Ferentz to Hendricks. Hendricks to an open wing. Heads up, heads up! The Blackhawks will go home to play Minnesota on Sunday. The Oilers will welcome the Florida Panthers for a game here Sunday, part of hometown hockey. As we take a look at the scoring summaries brought to you by Warley Parsons Ford. Visit WarleyParsonsFord.com to find your place in our construction team.
In the first period, we saw Brandon Saad, Benoit Pouliot, and Derek Roy all connect to make it 2-1 for the Oilers.
We like this picture. Windows, sign in window, accessibility, but Desiree Pepin.
over the Blackhawks. Second period, Brandon Saad keeping it up. Taves another 2-on-1. He just slammed it into the empty net, as you heard Ron and John talk about. And Jeff Petrie with a nice goal. He jumped up into play as well. Banged in a rebound on the Yakupov shot.
For Derek Roy, his 23rd three-point game in his career. And it's the guys we're talking about, 5 points in 6 games in an Oiler uniform. Bickle, Richards, and Kane out front against the Nugent-Hopkins line. This is Everly, can't get it out. Oduya slaps it towards the net. Big rebound. Off a pad save by Ben Scriven. Everly. Across the blue line. Everly. With a penalty on the way to the Chicago Blackhawks. And the blue line. Everly. With a penalty on the way to the Chicago Blackhawks. And the Oilers are going to get their second power play of this game, and it's early in the third period, a minute 15 in. And Brian Bickle is going for hooking.
So right after the shot, nice job by Mark Fay to tie up his man, and then there's the hook up on the hands of Taylor Hall from Brian Bickle, and the power play for the Oilers gets to go back to work.
7 minutes.
So the first penalty and an early opportunity for the Oilers to get this crowd back on their feet.
Power play is brought to you by BioSteel Sports Nutrition, the natural choice for everyday performance. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins starts on the power play. McDavid is to his left. Maroon back to his right. Derek Roy wins that draw. This is Teddy Purcell at the blue line. He'll give it to Petrie. Petrie to Roy. Roy, Yakupov. Russell, Larson, Lander in front. And the save made by Renda. And sent down the ice by Marcus Kruger. Petrie. The Oilers with 17 power play goals, 13 here at Rexall so far this season. Yakupov gets knocked down. Back the other way comes Taves with Hossa shorthanded. Tipped by Yakupov and went right to Scrivens. And he's calmly put that into the corner.
Mayo made the mistake there in the turnover. He busted his back to get back to break up the check.
Lander with a pass across to Derek Roy with off Duncan Keith. Ranta covers it up, and he'll get the whistle.
See if I can spit this out properly now. Nail Yakupov on the entry on the power play, turns the puck over, falls. Now he's going to get on his horse. He's going to come back real hard. This is a hard play for Nail Yakupov, but then gets his stick in, and he prevents the play to the net with the back check. There. Thank you for your help there, Kevin, and the cue cards. I appreciate that.
We meant what you know. Hall at the blue line gets dumped by Smith. The puck comes to Schultz. Everly, Nugent-Hopkins back to Hall. Hall, great shot. Blocked by Larson to Schultz. I'll give it to Everly to Hall. One more time up top for Schultz. Taylor Hall. To Nugent-Hopkins, back to Schultz. Schultz will give it to Nugent-Hopkins, snaps it towards the net. That was blocked by Seabrook, finished off by Kruger. 30 seconds of power play time remaining.
It's kind of a funny shift for Seabrook because all that movement by the Oilers, Seabrook just stood. I know it's going to come to me eventually. Block 2 shots.
Pouliot circles the net. Benoit Pouliot to Hall. He's got Schultz up top.
McDavid. He's got Connor McDavid.
Pouliot parks himself over. Here is Schultz. Down low for
Connor McDavid.
Everly
The score.
for Hall.
Right on the power.
Comes and it's
McDavid scores!
Plus keyboard shortcut.
Connor McDavid! 15th goal of the season! We have a team here at Rogers Place.
Another turnover. Tyler Pitlick takes advantage, and it's 2 on Edmonton. And this is almost a bad read by Larson. He gets caught flat-footed, allows his man to go through, but what a play by Russell breaking it up. Quick transition game, and sometimes simpler is better. This is a simple play where you're looking for shots all the way. Instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath the overplay to the outside.
The elbow. Thank you for encouraging us to the 5-year throw. Just in every time he gets close to being a regular, he's been hurt. And you've seen us flipping that lineup. He gets goes down. I think it's because of injury that he's done as well. And taking advantage of it. What you need to get your chance, and you got to make something. At the blue line gets double by Smith. Now gets back to Schultz. Schultz will give it to him. Now gets Simpson towards the net. That was blocked by Seabrook. Finished off by Kruger. 30 seconds of power play time remaining.
It's kind of a funny shift for Seabrook because all that movement by the Oilers, Seabrook just stood. I know it's going to come to me eventually.
Got 2 shots. Pouliot. Circles the net. Benoit Pouliot to Hall. He's got Schultz up top. Marks himself in front. Here is Schultz. Down low for Everly. Everly cross right for Hall. Out in front it comes, and it's kicked out there by Saw. Penalty is over now to Bickle. The Oilers 1 for 2 with the man advantage.
Good puck movement, but too much dusting it off, I think. Get that thing to the net. One shot. How many shots? One shot? One shot. You got to have more than that.
Fraser snaps a shot. That one is blocked by Roosevelt. Mark Bain pitching in. Gets it to Lander behind the net. Picked up on the near side by Teravainen. Gabo Teravainen. Drop pass. Run block. Goal. With the Wipers over top of the game. On the far side. Keeps it on the for Sharp. About to pass. Left by Teravainen over the line. Teravainen. Pressure from the key. On the dig of Lander, he'll get it out to center. Run block. Short left pass to Teravainen. Quickly across to Michael Roosevelt. Roosevelt to Shaw. Mark Bain, and he just snapped it down the ice. He'll have to stay out there on the icing call.
Here are the lucky ticket numbers. This center, kickback
Century Casino, welcome to the Winner's Zone.
6. You've got one of those 3 lucky winners.
Ron Nelson now looking up at the clock and just what happens at this point as you're a coach. Start figuring out who's going, who can I use, how my face-off guys doing, which guys are working, which guys aren't. Right now, though, I think he's got a big pool to pick from as far as guys that are performing very well.
Todd Nelson 2, 4, and 4. Behind the bench as a solo act, he is 2, 1, and 2. His first regulation loss was that game against the Red Wings on Tuesday.
Craig Ramsey, who runs the defense.
1 hour, 19 minutes with the go-ahead goal. 6:33 of the second period.
45 seconds.
Derek Roy, Neil Yakupov, Benoit Pouliot, Yakupov. Half the clock for Ferris. Broken up and back the other way. Comes Smith. He will give it to Kane and then drive the net. Kane guards the net. Waits, fires a shot through traffic. Rebounds. Seabrook looking for it. Scrimmage reaches out and makes the save. And Ben Smith right there for the rebound.
Couple things. Number one right here. Neil Yakupov supposed to be a shooter, as Lee DeBrusk said. That puck's got to go to the net. He's thinking pass instead of shoot. Now the third man jumps in. Great job. Drive that net. That's the classic drives the net. Ben Smith standing right there. He turns because he drives the net. He stops at the net, and he gets that opportunity. Turns, finds it. Great save by Ben Scrivens. Seabrook's up in the play. Everybody got 4 guys again playing close to the Oilers' goal.
Hayes against Gordon. Oilers control. Ferentz off the boards for Hendricks. Jarmelson. Hounded by Klinkhammer. Pass for Taves off his stick. Shot back in by Ferentz. And picked up there by Jarmelson. They'll play it off the boards for Hossa. It gets by him. Petrie will go back, and that's going to be icing against the Blackhawks.
Darnell Nurse. For the
I don't imagine Joel Quenneville's particularly happy with his team at the moment. Didn't like their game last night, as you talked about when he addressed the media at 5:30. And now his team, who leads the league in shots per game, he's got only 17 shots, and his team's down by 1. Now, it's a tough. This is exactly what the Oilers want. You've got the lead with a team that played last night and is frustrated with the way their game's going, and you're keeping the shots at a minimum. So far, from the Oilers' point of view, Now it's a tough. This is exactly what the Oilers want. He's got the lead with the team that played last night and is frustrated with later. He's got only 17 shots and his team's down by 1. Now it's a tough. This is exactly what the Oilers want. You've got the lead with the team that played last night and is frustrated with later games going, and you're keeping the shots at a minimum. So far, from the Oilers' point of view, it's going swimmingly.
17 shots for the Hawks. They average 35.5. Here's a giveaway. Hossa cutting for the net. Hossa stopped by Scrivens. Big rebound. Scrivens covers it up and gets the whistle.
But then again, game of hockey is funny. Everything's fine. You're no problem. Things are going well. And this is just a heinous turnover. Mark Fane turns. He thinks he's got his guy. Misses him with the pass with McKean. And now everybody comes back for the Oilers, and everybody's puck focused. In the first 2 periods, they came back and stopped in front, and they turned and found guys. They boxed guys out. They lifted sticks. But now, those second and third wave players are starting to get second and third chances.
Face-off win once again for the Oilers, and it is Boyd Gordon who gets the center. He'll backhand it to the opposite corner, and the line of Nugent Hopkins, Hall, and Eberle are on the ice now with Petrie and Ferris. Kane, drop pass, firing it towards the net, and looking for the rebound. Scrivens covers up as Kruger let it go.
Ben Scrivens has taken the mantle as the #1 guy. Obviously, he's getting the minutes. As good as Victor Foss played yesterday, Ben Scrivens back in today. This is his record in his last 5 games. Fantastic numbers when you look at it. Well, fantastic as far as save percentage, goals against average, and the shots faced. You'd obviously like a couple more wins in the column. But Ben is starting to find his game. Now, the argument is, well, it's too little, too late. Not really. If you look at there's half the year left. These guys are all playing for something. Taylor Hall was saying today, it's actually a lot of fun. But Ben is starting to find his game. Now, the argument is, well, it's too little, too late. Not really. If you look at there's half the year left. As well, it's too little, too late. Not really. If you look at there's half the year left. These guys are all playing for something. Taylor Hall was saying today, it's actually a lot of fun when you win, so we want to keep doing that.
Roosevelt, shot was blocked by Boyd Gordon. Blocks more shots than any forward on this Edmonton Oilers team this year. Michael Roosevelt goes cross ice and finds Patrick Sharp. Sharp trying to get away from Fraser, can't do it. Shaw carries on. Schultz takes a look and he'll play it to Oscar Klefbom. Short pass to Matt Fraser. Fraser chips it in. Lander will give chase. Fraser lays it around the boards. Teravainen right in front of his own bench. Disrupted there by Nikitin. Fane will give it to Nikitin. Quickly up for Derek Roy. To the middle for Pouliot. Edouard Pouliot chasing it in against Oduya. And it comes to Seabrook on the near side. Seabrook goes cross ice, picked off by Yakupov. Yakupov forces towards the net. That backhand goes wide. Derek Roy for Pouliot. Kane takes possession. Roy checks there. Pouliot in there as well. Being hounded by Seabrook. Kane comes away with the block. To Oduya. Up the middle was Richards. It comes to Smith instead. He will chip it in. Fane. Drop pass for Nikitin. Nikitin goes up the middle, and it's Yakupov who starts away with Roy. Yakupov, button one, lays it in behind the net. John Wooden once said, be quick, but don't be in a hurry.
Yep. Mike Babcock's favorite line, as a matter of fact, from the Detroit Red Wings.
And I wonder if that is what you're seeing with Nail Yakupov. Chip pass for Hall, just out of his reach. Look at you. Here's Eberle. Eberle from the corner. We'll give it to Hall. Got Nugent Hopkins out in front. Hall instead goes back from top to Petrie. Petrie the wrist shot and a slap pass attempt there for Eberle. And it's brought to you by Reno. Circles his own net. Just over 12 minutes left to go in regulation time. Marion circles his own net. Just over 12 minutes left to go in regulation time.
He scores! Patrick Maroon! 17th goal of the season!
turnover. Tyler Pitlick takes advantage for the Edmonton Oilers. And this is almost a bad read by Larson. He gets caught flat-footed, allows his man to go through the right play by Russell, breaking it up. Quick transition, but sometimes simpler is better. This is a simple play where you're looking for pass all the way. Instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and it found room underneath the elbow.
Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a regular, he's been hurt. And he's in this opening night lineup, gets a goal.
Don't you think it's because of
been a 5-side,
and it found room underneath the elbow?
Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a regular, he's been hurt. And he's in this opening night lineup, gets a goal.
Underneath, he overplayed it to the outside, and it found pass. The quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and it found room. The quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and it found room underneath the elbow.
Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a regular, he's been hurt. And he's in this opening night lineup, he gets a goal. Circles his own net. Just over 12 minutes left to go in regulation time. Works his way across the blue line. Offside with Jonathan Taves. Rogers Oilers hockey right here. Tonight's Outstanding Play is brought to you by Remax. Outstanding agents, outstanding results.
This was a result that we may look at and go, holy mackerel, it meant the game. Oscar Klefbom steals one off the goal line. It's going in. It's going in the net. Andrew Shaw's whacking away at it. Oscar Klefbom, after a good effort by Ben Scrivens, helps out his goalie. Albert puck the other way. 3-2 lead maintained for the Oilers.
With 12:03 left to go in regulation time. Taves line against Gordon. We've seen that matchup all night. Rob Klinkhammer with 9 of the Oilers' 21 hits. He from 91 hits on the season. And his 31st point. Petrie. To Klinkhammer. Off the board for Hendricks. Hendricks checks by Hossa. Flipped in there by Saad, but it's coming back on the icing. Klinkhammer off the board for Hendricks. Hendricks checked by Hossa. Flipped in there by Saad, but it's coming back on the icing.
And Mark Spector, Louis Rusty, Prince Bay talked about Darren Roy, how motivated he is. First period, we talked about Rob Klinkhammer, how motivated he is. Because they're auditioning for jobs for next year to stay in the National Hockey League. Rob Klinkhammer's been through the ups and downs. We saw it when Gene brought up a couple of games ago. He knows what it takes now. He's going to just continue to be a physical guy, to be a presence on the forecheck.
Fake. Tipped by Nugent Hopkins, picked off by Rundblad, who gave it away, but it comes to Roosevelt. Roosevelt couldn't get it by Nugent Hopkins. Rundblad under pressure will get it to Hossa. Hossa to Shaw. Shaw is with Sharp. Shaw crisscrossing with Patrick Sharp. Snaps the shot. Is blocked by Fane. Quickly to Everett. Everett to Nugent Hopkins. Nugent Hopkins chips and changes. Carolina. Now to Sharp. Jumping up on the play is Keith. Sharp will give it to Keith. Keith to the corner it goes. Shaw plays it around the near side. But waiting for it there is Taylor Hall, and he will send it slowly down the ice. That will allow the Oilers to get a change in. As the Hawks bring it back in. Shaw. Carolina to Shaw. Trying to work it out on the backhand. Carolina to Shaw. Couldn't get the shot. Frazier was in his face. Charlton quickly across to Keith. Here comes Andrew Shaw. Pumped up a puck there by Matt Frazier. Frazier goes down. Oh, we've heard that before. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Sharp snaps the shot. Blocked by Frazier. And regulation time. Marian Hossa works his way across the blue line. Offside was Jonathan Taves.
He scores! Connor McDavid! 2 goals to the night! The Oilers extend a 4-0 lead!
10 minutes, 43 seconds. 10 minutes, 44
Another
seconds.
turnover.
10 minutes, 45 seconds. 1 hour.
Takes advantage, and it's 2 Edmonton.
And this is almost a bad read by Larson. He's blocking away footer, allows his man to go through, but what a play by Russell breaking it up. Quick transition game, and sometimes simpler is better. This is a simple play where you're looking for pass all the way, and instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and it found room underneath the elbow.
Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a winner, he's been hurt. And he's in this opening night lineup. We have seen that matchup all night. Think it's the 9 of the order. September 1st, 2015, Chicago Blackhawks on the season. 5 more pages. Personal, Microsoft Edge, featuring radio player view. Plus keyboard shortcut. The Clinkhammer off the boards for Hendricks checked by Hossa. Flipped in by side, but it's coming back on the icing.
He scores! There's the hat trick! Connor McDavid! Tied for Patrick Maroon! 16th goal of the season! And now this is a 5-0 lead for the Oilers!
Another turnover. Tyler Pitlick takes advantage.
This is almost a bad read by Larson. He gets caught flat-footed, allows his man to go through, but what a play by Russell breaking it up. Quick transition game, and sometimes simpler is better. This is a simple play where you're looking for pass all the way, and instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and it found room underneath the elbow.
Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a regular, he's in this.
Oscar Klefbom steals one off the goal line. It's going in. It's going in the net. Andrew Shaw's whacking away. Oscar Klefbom after good effort by Ben Scrimmage. Helps out his goalie from Patrick Maroon. The other way, 3-2 lead maintained for the Oilers.
With 12:03 left to go in
the other way. Oscar Klefbom after good effort by Ben Scrimmage. Helps out his goalie. Puck the other way, 3-2 lead maintained for the Oilers.
With 12:03 left to go.
Puck the other way, 3-2 lead maintained for the Oilers.
With 12:03.
Darnell Moose. Puck the other way, 3-2 lead maintained for the Oilers.
With 12:03 left to go in.
1 hour, 1 hour, 48 minutes. 1 hour, 1 hour, 14, 45 seconds.
It's a shotgun that goes into the net. And we get a whistle. Rogers, Oilers hockey, right here on Sportsnet.
Flashback Friday with that jersey. Welcome back. Tonight, Safeway's $1 million scoring grand prize winner will receive an all-inclusive trip for 2 to a Grand Bahia Principe Resort, courtesy of redtag.ca, where Canada shops for great travel deals. Tonight's grand prize winner is Clinton Goodrich of Wetaskiwin, Alberta. Congratulations, Clinton. Shop at Safeway today, and you could be our next lucky winner.
Oilers trying to win their 10th game of the season.
Their 11th game of the season.
It is a 3-2 game with less than 10 minutes to go in regulation time. The Hawks with 19 shots, the Oilers with 17. Derek Roy has 3 points on the night. Pouliot, blocked by Seabrook. Pass comes from Kane, hops over his stick. Nikitin will go back and retrieve. Nikitin. Fane to Pouliot. Pouliot. He got knocked down there by Ben Smith, but Derek Roy carries on, sends the puck in deep. Johnny Oduya will pick it up for Chicago. Kane will give it to Seabrook. Seabrook goes cross ice. This is Brad Richards with a pass to Kane, but look at the backtrack of Derek Roy. On the highest scoring Chicago Blackhawks so far this season. Has the puck right now. Kane, sharp angle shot, Scrivens the save. Nikitin against Richards. Ben Smith comes up with a Smith back to the point. Charmelson wide, fires a blast. That was through hard. And it got by Ben Smith on the side of the net. Richards with it now. Richards under pressure from McKeith. Plays it back to Keith. Keith can't keep it in at the blue line. 20 shots for the Hawks. They had only 5 shots in the third period of that game in Minnesota, but they were nursing a lead. Taves, Saad, and Bosa
trying to break a shutout.
Nugent Hopkins, Hall, and Everly. Carlson just took that away from Everly at the end of his shift. Keith will give it to Roosevelt. Michael Roosevelt. 4 Hawks coming towards the net. There is Scribbins to steer it away. Quickly back the other way. Klinkhammer against Rundblad. Riley Klinkhammer in the corner. Rundblad without a stick. Klinkhammer for Hendricks. Boyd Gordon comes in and gets the puck back to Ferentz at the point. He'll go back to Larson. Petrie. Larson. Flat pass looking for Hendricks. Hendricks looks skyward as he just missed. Hendricks tied up by Roosevelt. It comes to
1 hours 31 minutes 29 seconds of 1 hours 42 minutes 45 seconds.
But there is Patrick Sharp off the bench and through center. Sharp pushed off the puck there by Petrie. Klinkhammer backhands it in, waiting for it there. It's Fraser. Here's Adam Larson. Lander in support. Larson with support. Herschel's joined them. Out in front, quick shot by Justin Shaw. Turned aside by Ranta. Shaw checked by Klefbon right in front of the Oilers bench. Danny Burchell, Justin Schultz, Anton Lander. Off the glass and down into Hawk territory. 7 minutes, 21 seconds left to go in regulation time. Shaw with a pass to Sharp. He left it down. Klefbon though. Looking at the Schultz. Off the board for Burchell. First 3 minutes. Hits it in. Pouliot giving chase against Seabrook. Quickly picked up by Bickle. Ryan Bickle across the blue line with Andrew Shaw. Shaw lets the shot go. Didn't get through. Nikitin prevented that. Nikitin then strips the puck from Andrew Shaw. Andrew Shaw. Yakubov steals it from Sharp. Gives it to Pouliot. Outlet pass for Derek Roy. Yakubov driving to the front of the net. Here comes Roy. Roy chip pass over for Pouliot. 2 for him. Pouliot keeps it in for Yakubov. Yakubov. Back to the point it comes. Nikitin throws it toward the net. That was blocked by Michael Roosevelt. Picked up by Bickle. He's got Kane going right up the middle. Can't get it to him though because Fain prevented that. Here comes Everly with speed. Everly driving the net. Jordan Everly with a puck as he waits for Nugent Hopkins and Hall. Hall. Big hit there on Patrick Kane. They both go down. Down the boards. Teo Teravainen. For Smith, too far for him. Smith stays with it though. Ben Smith behind the net. Scribbins slows it down. He'll play it high on the glass. Gets it over Kane, but can't get it by Charleston. Kane against Nugent Hopkins. Pass intercepted by Hall. He starts away with Everly. Jordan Everly chips it in. Hall going after it. Checked by Charleston. But there is Everly in support. Nugent Hopkins with it now. Nugent Hopkins behind the net. Takes a look. Nugent Hopkins sees Klefbon at the blue line. Klefbon throws it towards the net, and that one goes wide. Mark Fain keeps it in to Hall. Hall. Nugent Hopkins right out in front. Everett takes the shot. Backs it up. Back to the point. Klefbon can't keep it into the blue line. The Oilers have to revert.
Second effort by Duncan Keith. And Jordan Everly had to double clutch there to try to find the puck to get it upstairs. And Duncan Keith took it away.
Duncan Keith leads the rush now for Chicago. Pass for Taves off his stick. Scribbins gets it to Ferentz. Ferentz. Pass for Hendricks. Hendricks has it stolen by Saad. Keith kicks it back to Seabrook. Boyd Gordon intercepts the pass. Klinkhammer and Hendricks both going after it. Oduya takes a look. He's got right side and down. Klinkhammer rocks shot by Talbot.
That's hit number 100 for those of you keeping track.
Oduya shakes the cobwebs and gives it to Seabrook. Seabrook fires it around the boards. Petrie cuts it off. Petrie will give it to Ferentz. Ferentz, there's Fraser. Fraser flips it high. Racing after it is Ted Burchell. Here comes Burchell and it's right defensive play by Johnny Oduya.
Ted Burchell was gone, knocked it down with great high hand.
Nikitin swing and a miss. He'll have to get it again. He does. Bounces it off Kane though. Kane. To Bickle. Bickle back to Kane. Kane down low goes. Roosevelt indeed. Leaves it off the stick of Ben Scribbins.
Fraser snaps his shot. Redmond makes the save. Fraser behind the net. Gets knocked down by Roosevelt. Bickle comes back and picks it up for Chicago. Under 4 minutes left to go in regulation time. 5-0 Oilers lead.
Partner Brad Richards had a nice back check on that Matt Fraser chance.
Chauffeur to Roosevelt. Helped out there by Klefbom. Oscar Klefbom uses the boards, gets it down the ice. Klefbom uses the boards, gets it down the ice.
5 minutes, 51 seconds at 1 hour, 42 minutes, 45 seconds.
It's going to be icing against Edmonton.
Cotswood Interiors, everything a furniture store should be. Inspiring selection, complimentary design service, and quality you can trust.
Rob Crickhammer, talked about him all night. He's been a physical guy. He's been in on the hits. He has been finishing checks, and that's a solid one. Rockin', Johnny Oduya.
21 shots for the Hawks, 19 for the Oilers. 3-2 to score with 3 minutes and 44 seconds left to go in regulation time. Sharp. Back for Chicago. 5 in the third period. Down the middle he goes. Gets around it. Back the other way comes Oilers got Yakupov. Yakupov into the zone. Yakupov. Backhand. Denied. Regulation time.
Sharp. 33 seconds at 1 hour, 42 minutes, 45 seconds.
Patrick Sharp. Down the middle he goes. Gets around it and back the other way comes Hall. Seconds left to go in regulation time.
1 hour, 36 minutes, 43 seconds at 1 hour, 42 minutes, 45 seconds.
1 hour, 3-2 to score with 3 minutes and 24 seconds left to go. 3-2 to score with 3 minutes and 24 seconds left to go in regulation.
1 hour, 30. 1 hour, 30. 1 hour, 30 minutes. 1 hour, 30. 1 hour, 30. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 18 seconds at 1 hour, 30. 1 hour, 30 minutes. 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 16 seconds at 1 hour, 1 hour, 39. 1 hour, 39. 1 hour, 39. 1 hour, 39.
In his career. Teddy Burchell stepped up on there by Blacklock. Sharp centers it. Lander picks it off. Fraser and Burchell crisscross. And Fraser from the corner. Burchell in support, gives it back to Fraser. Fraser to Burchell. Burchell back to the point it comes. Petrie waiting the point. Petrie will play it behind the net. Under 1 minute left to go. Petrie will play it behind the net. Under 1 minute left to go in the third period. The Edmonton Oilers will win their first game against Chicago here since Sam Gagner had that huge night on February 2nd, 2012, when the Oilers put up 8 goals in an 8-4 victory. Revenge sweep for the Oilers, defeated 7-1 the last time these teams met. Derek Roy, Daniil Yakupov, dishes off the blue, takes a shot, and he goes high and low. Blackhawks chased back into his own zone.
Roy Kane, and now we've got a few guys chopping at Kane. Yakupov, Bickle gets in there.
The crowd here at Rexall begins to rise as the Oilers lock up one of the elites of the National Hockey League. As Ben Scrimmage, one of the elites of the National Hockey League. As Ben Scrimmage wins his 8th game of the year.
Team effort, and the new guy is really providing a nice bolt of energy.
Just one final notice that the Oilers are on as they continue Friday in Calgary.
Stopped at Safeway.
Look to get a shot in. Larson battling with Backlund. Chuck goes after him. And I agree, Jim. That's the great thing about playing a rival 2 game 2 days later. It creates a great opportunity for Calgary to bounce back, and for Edmonton, what a great start to this wonderful.
If you're sick of paying 0% Liberty Score.